watching. Just a quick reminder that the flash drop sale is still available. Make sure you guys take advantage. Also got your email, so I'm going to put up the Get All 5 sale. As I said, when we get the books in, I will show you guys, and here it is, God to God right here. Book is in. We got a lot of books in, so we're going to make sure you guys who have pre-ordered, who have been waiting for books for a long time, who have been patient with this process, we're going to get your books out first. But we appreciate the support, we appreciate the patience on this. And here it is. As I said, we have it ready, and it's here. You can put the letters like the Godfather, as you can see. But a lot of people have been waiting on this book. There's a lot of doubters, a lot of naysayers, a lot of haters. As I said, it's a process, stuff happens, but here's the book, ready and available. Here now, we're getting books together, and we're going to be getting them out. So we know who you are, who have been waiting. Just stay patient. You will get an email. We know who everybody is. We'll make sure you get an email who ordered. And we'll make sure we get this book out to you for those who have been waiting. And for those who took advantage of the sale, we'll get you a book ASAP. You'll receive a tracking number as soon as possible. We're working on it, and it's a process, and I appreciate the patience. Make sure you guys take advantage of the sale. I'm trying to keep it up through a weekend. All 5 plus the flash, all 4 books plus the flash drop, $99. Support, take advantage of the sale. And we'll be going, we'll be down. I'm only putting it back up because of the emails I got. So make sure you guys take advantage of the sale. Let's get into this video. So, one of the things that really help us understand that they were trying to remember this and that it wasn't these ancient Egyptians is Akhenaten. When we look at Akhenaten, and remember that Akhenaten is credited as being the first monotheist. And Akhenaten looked around and he's seen, once he became Pharaoh or the Nisut, he's seen that, everybody was worshiping so many gods. And the gods, they looked at them in principles of nature, as far as nature, the sun and everything like that. So Akhenaten looks at nature and says to himself, basically, well, there is a oneness to nature. Everything comes out of one. You have a mother and a father, but really you are created inside of one, your mother, and you come out of one, your mother. Your mother births you, she creates you, within. And especially since the ancient Egyptians understood that, woman could create life without a male, then they really looked at, everything as one. So no matter what, you're coming out of the oneness of something. So while everybody was worshiping so many gods, Akhenaten say, you know what? There is one God. It's one God. If there isn't a whole bunch of deities out there, and if there is, they had to come from somewhere. So there is one. So Akhenaten basically gave us the solar disk, or Aten. Now with Aten, the solar disk, we all looked around, ancient Egyptian artifacts. We've seen this stuff everywhere. And you always seen that solar disk. That is Aten. And Akhenaten, which is, he changed his name from Amenhotep IV, which would have been, to Akhenaten, to basically cultivate himself to assume the oneness of that God. So he basically outlawed all the other gods and told everybody, hey, he basically pissed Kemet off and said, he shut down the temples, stopped the worship of all the other gods. And, we got Aten, and they worship Aten, as the one universal God. So now we're talking about the 18th dynasty, the 14th century BCE. So the thing I want you to understand, when we're talking about 1353 to like 1336, I think it was that Akhenaten reigned. So what you have to understand is 18th dynasty is relatively close to the creation of the Bible and everything like that, the creation of the Torah, or what have you, Greek mythology and everything like that. So if in the 18th dynasty, if in the 14th century BCE, they were just then coming into the speculation or the understanding that there could possibly be one God, that alone tells us that there's no way the dynasties before them, any of the dynasties, could have built the Great Pyramids, because there is perfection within the pyramids. I mean, as close to perfection as you can get. The pyramids are not just, the pyramids. They didn't just serve a function I mean, they put in it everything. I mean, I can go on for days of what they did, what they put into it. So basically, all of the knowledge that the ancient Egyptians wrote about, that they're talking about, and that we think is possible, the ancient Egyptians, the ones before the dynasties who actually built the pyramids, actually built proof that this knowledge exists when they built the Great Pyramid. And that is, attributed to the fact that it's perfect. It's almost perfect to true north. The fact that when you measure the circumference and you add it together, basically when you draw a circle around the base and you add the points, the sides together, it equals the speed of light. Stuff like this. I mean, they put into it so much math, geometry, and we're going to get into some of that a little bit in this video. And they put into it the proof, so that if you ever thought that this stuff was just talk, if you really understood what they put into the pyramids when they built it, then you know that these people they accomplished it. Not just for the simple fact that they cut those big stones and everything is set perfectly and everything like that. The sheer weight of it is impossible. It's mind-boggling when you think how they did this stuff. Not only is that crazy and does that prove that these people were powerful, but the deeper meaning is the math, the geometry, which it shuts everything down. Now, we know when Akhenaten died, when Tutankhamun took over King Tut, his son, when he took over the throne, they basically coerced him to basically reopen the temples, to bring back the worship of all the gods. And, this pleased Kemet. It pleased a lot of people to bring back this worship. So it was really important to people who understood why all the gods should be worshipped and why they must be understood and known, because a lot of people thought Akhenaten just lost his damn mind because some of the people seen let's just say the math, the science, and the worship of these other deities. And you'll understand this as we go along, why they should be worshipped and at least known and understood, because it wasn't just like you was worshiping these beings as being actual beings who existed. There's a deeper meaning behind them. So people who are, let's just say like the secret societies, or the people who was basically, behind the scenes of the Nisut, who was making sure that everything was ran right, they knew the true meaning of these deities. And you would think Akhenaten would know as well, but he wanted this one God, and he wasn't wrong in what he was saying. He just shouldn't outlaw the worship of all the other gods, because they are as important as well. So we know Tut assumed the throne and they reopened the temples or what have you. But I want you guys to really understand who these gods are that we talk about. So I'm going to go through almost all the gods of ancient Kemet. I'm pretty sure you guys don't know them all. I'm going to go through most of them, and the really important ones, I'm going to leave some out just for time's sake, because there's a lot of them. Now, some of these guys that I name, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on them, and others I'm just going to go by for time's sake, but we really want to get into most of them in an entire series because they are important. And you're going to start to see some of the things that I talked about in previous videos. You're going to understand why. It's going to make a lot of sense. So now, Amon is the king of the gods. He's the god of wind. Usually you see him with the ram's head or the head of a man. And we know Amon combined with Ra gives us Amon Ra. Next we have Anubis, who is the god of the dead, the god of embalming, funerals, mourning ceremonies. He has the jackal head. We all know this. A lot of people don't know that Anubis is also the son of Osiris and Nephthys. He is the brother of Horus. We have Aten, who is the sun disk I just talked about. He is an aspect of the god Ra. Next we have Bes, goddess god Bes. Bes is the dwarf god. He protects babies and pregnant women and protects from scorpions and snake bites. Then we have Geb. Geb is the god of earth, or earth itself, as some people may say. Husband to Nut, father of Set, Osiris, Memphis, and Isis. Next we have Hathor. Hathor is the goddess of love, usually shown as the cow. Then we have Heket. Heket's the goddess of frogs. We have Horus. Horus is the god of war, god of the sky, falcons. Also the brother of Anubis, son of Osiris and Isis. Isis is the goddess of magic, marriage, healing, and protection. She's the wife and sister to Osiris and mother to Horus. Next, we have Khepri, who is the god of the scarab. He is the aspect of Ra in the morning. Next, we have Khnum. Khnum is the ram-headed god. He is the aspect of Ra in the evening. Then we have Khonsu. Khonsu is the god of the moon. Next, we have Kuk, who is the personification of darkness. Ma'at, who is the goddess of justice, truth, and order, daughter of Ra. Next is Nekbet. Nekbet is the vulture goddess, sister of Wajet. And we have Nut. Nut is the goddess of the sky and stars, wife of Geb. Osiris is the god of the underworld and the afterlife, husband and brother to Isis, father of Anubis and Horus, and brother to his mortal enemy, Seth. Then we have Ptah, who is the god of creation. We have Ra. Ra is the god of the sun. Ra was the king of the gods until Osiris took his throne. He is also known as Amun-Ra. Then we have Sekhmet, goddess of lions, fire, and vengeance. She is the alter form of Hathor. A lot of times when you see Sekhmet, you also see Hathor, or you'll see like a cow woman version of Hathor, but it's Sekhmet. Then we have Sheshat, who is the god of writing and measurements. Next, we have Seth. Seth is the god of chaos, change, deserts, storms, foreigners. It's weird that they would give a negative god to foreigners. This lets you know how they truly felt about foreigners. Set is the brother of Osiris, husband to Nephthys. Remember, Nephthys and Osiris had Anubis. So a lot of people, depending on, it's another thing you got to understand, depending on what part of Egypt or Kemet that you are in, there are different stories about these mythological gods, different stories. We're going to get into that a little bit here. You got to understand, if you go to Memphis, you know, you have the Memphite text, or the whole Shabakistan we're going to get into. You got to understand, it's different stories depending on where you at in Kemet, or depending on who you talk to, or what have you. We're going to get into that a little bit. Oh yeah. Another thing about Set, I wrote this down. Set is supposed to have killed Osiris out of jealousy. He is half man and half something else. He's a hybrid. Nobody knows what Seth is mixed with. And a lot of people who looked at the depictions, they don't have a clue what it's mixed with. So that's one of those things that's out there. I wanted you guys to understand that. A lot of people, some people will tell you straight up, oh, Seth is mixed with like a dragon, or mixed with something like that, because of the depiction of Set being basically Satan. A lot of people will just say, well, he's probably mixed with a dragon, or what have you, because they usually depict them as like a man with wings, or what have you, when you see drawings. But when you look at the ancient Egyptian depictions of Seth, they can't tell you exactly what he's mixed with, except for the fact that he's mixed. So next we have Shu. Shu is the god of the wind and air. Shu is the father to Jeb and Nut, of course, great-grandfather to Horus and Anubis. Sobek is god of crocodiles and alligators. Rose, Ra, Sunboat through the Duat. You're going to understand why these gods, when you look at a lot of the hieroglyphics, why they're always on these boats. You know, you're going to understand in this video what that's about. But Tefnut is the lion goddess of water and fertility. It's the consort of Shu, mother to Jeb and Nut. Thoth, or Tahuti, is the scribe of God, god of wisdom, you know, aka Jehudi. Wajet, goddess of protection, sister to Nekbet. And I'm going to stop at W right there. We're just going to leave it at that. There are a few more gods, you know, that I didn't touch on. A handful of them, as a matter of fact. That's not really super important right now. But you'll run into them. We're going to run into them, and I'll explain them then when we get into, you know, everything else. But these are the main gods you really have to understand, especially when we get into the creation story, which we're about to get into now. You realize why these gods were the main gods as far as creation, and what their properties basically was. So now when we look at all these Netarus, all these gods, you have to understand it was created to teach about an aspect of nature, creation, a part of reality that exists. This is why they created all of this mythology. All of these teachings was to teach about aspects of nature and reality that, people needed to know. The key to all of it is knowing where it all fits, knowing what it all means. And that's basically what it's all about. Knowing what was the parable behind these guys. Why was they created? Why are these aspects important and where do they fit? That is the key to all this. So in order for you to really understand, why all these guys was created, you need to really know the ancient Egyptian creation story. You need to understand who these guys are. You need to understand the principles. Ma'at. What was this stuff centered around? What was it based off? What did they find that was important about the earth and their society? All of this stuff fits when you start looking at everything. It's so that when you look at certain stuff in ancient Kemet, when you start looking at some hieroglyphics, it's like, huh? It's like, what does it mean? I mean, it might as well be speaking, baby talk to you. It's like, what is it talking about? So when you look at a lot of these depictions, once you understand what things represent, the hieroglyphics start to reveal themselves to you clearly. And I think you're going to get a very good understanding about time this video is done. When you look at certain hieroglyphics, you're going to understand what it means. You're going to be able to start to begin to understand how to read this stuff. So now let's get into the Egyptian creation story. It's going to sound a little bit weird. And there are different versions to it, where some things are just added and taken away. We're going to actually get into another version of it in this video because there's some things about it you need to understand. But when you get into the ancient Egyptian creation story, you basically have, nothing but darkness. There was chaos and darkness. And then out of the chaos and darkness, which the Egyptians called the waters of noon, out of the waters of noon came Atom or Adam or Atom. This is where they got it from. The atom and Adam in the Bible, it all comes from the waters of noon, where Atom comes out of the waters of noon.